Good morning, dear students. Welcome to Diksha Online. Today we are going to discuss about aldehydes, ketones, carboxylic acids, and polymers. First, we'll take a brief synopsis of the same chapters. Start with aldehydes and ketones. So, aldehydes and ketones are also known as carbonyl compounds. So, these are the compounds containing carbonyl group as their primary functional group. So, aldehydes and ketones belong to this category, and carboxylic acids and their derivatives are not included in this category, though they are containing C double bond O group, as the reactions are different compared to aldehydes and ketones. So, aldehydes and ketones are only included in carbonyl compounds. Preparation of aldehydes and ketones. So, first one, mild oxidation. So, we have alcohols, primary alcohol on oxidation give aldehydes. Secondary alcohol on oxidation gives ketones. The oxidizing agents that can be used for this, we have PCC, we have PDC, we have Jones reagent. So Jones reagent can convert even aldehyde to acids. Collins reagent, CrO3 in CH2Cl2, aluminium tertiary butoxide. This is open air oxidation. Even I can take metallic copper at 573 Kelvin. This is dehydrogenation. So these are the reagents possible for mild oxidation of alcohols. Second method, from calcium salts of carboxylic acids. So if I take the general equation for this, RCOO whole twice Ca, single salt of calcium, single salt of carboxylic acid if I take and heat it, thermal decomposition, so it will form symmetrical ketone. Byproduct is always going to be calcium carbonate. So if I take HCOO twice Ca on heating forms formaldehyde. So to get formaldehyde I have to use calcium formate. Any other calcium carboxylate will give symmetrical ketone. If I take mixture of two salts, RCOO twice Ca plus HCOO twice Ca, the cross product will predominate. You get RCHO, two molecules. And if I take RCOO twice Ca plus R dash COO twice Ca gives unsymmetrical ketones. So by taking calcium salts and subjecting it to heat, thermal decomposition gives corresponding carbonyl compounds. Also, if I take calcium salt of dicarboxylic acid, so let us say I am taking C double bond O, O minus, C double bond O, O minus C. So what happens? CO2, right, will be eliminated along with calcium oxide. So I get a cyclic ketone. So it's going to be this going as CO2. So this O minus will come here. So this pair of electron moves here and O2 minus will go out with calcium, say CaO will be formed, and CO2 will combine with CaO to form calcium carbonate. So I am getting 1, 2, 3, 4 here, cyclobutanone. So one carbon less than the dicarboxylic acid will be obtained as a cyclic ketone. So calcium salts of dicarboxylic acid always form cyclic ketones. From alkynes through acid hydration. So here what we get, an alkyne So it is HgSO4, H2SO4, a standard reagent. Mercury ion as a catalyst, it always adds water according to Markovnikov rule and then tautomerizes to corresponding ketone. So terminal alkyne always gives methyl ketone and unsymmetrical non-terminal alkyne with the same reagent will give mixture of two ketones. These are the two ketones possible. Rosenmund reduction. It's a standard reaction. So if it is a reaction of acid chloride reacted with hydrogen, palladium, barium sulfate with quinoline. So we are using Lindlar catalyst. So acid chloride will be reduced only till aldehyde. So aldehyde is not further reduced to alcohol because of deactivated palladium as catalyst. This is Rosenmund reduction. The same reaction can also be achieved by using Dibal H, diisobutyl aluminium hydride. So Dibal H will also give aldehyde as the product. It's a milder reducing agent compared to aluminium hydride or lithium aluminium hydride. Stephens reduction. So Stephens reduction is reaction of cyanide or C triple bond N. So it is reduced with SnCl2 and HCl. So the reduction happens to imine salt. So the imine formed when react with further with HCl, it forms respective imine salt NH2 plus Cl minus. So this imine is hydrolyzed. So it is broken. It becomes aldehyde and byproduct is ammonium chloride. This is Stephens reduction. Same way, the cyanide can also be reduced. The cyanide can also be reduced again by using Dibal H, giving imine. There is no imine salt now, it is imine. Imines are always hydrolyzable to form corresponding aldehyde here with the loss of ammonia. This is basic conversion of cyanide to aldehyde. So the characteristic reaction of aldehydes and ketones is nucleophilic addition. So let us see what exactly it is. So if I take a carbonyl compound or C double bond O H aldehyde, a nucleophile will attack Nu minus. This can attack at the carbonyl group. Electron pair goes to oxygen, gives RCO minus H and Nu. This is tetrahedral intermediate. So this intermediate, since the no groups is a good leaving group, it will undergo reaction with the solvent giving proton RCOH, H and Nu. So basically it is undergoing nucleophilic addition. So aldehydes and ketones undergo nucleophilic addition as the main reaction. So the nucleophilic addition reaction, the factors affecting the nucleophilic addition reaction, there are two factors. One, the steric hindrance, and two, electrophilicity of carbon. So based on steric hindrance, we can say the overall order of reactivity. Formaldehyde is the highest reactive compound, then any other aldehyde, then aromatic aldehyde, after that a ketone, aliphatic ketone, then aryl alkyl ketone, and finally aryl aryl ketone. This is the overall order of reactivity of carbonyl compounds towards nucleophilic addition reaction. So presence of electron withdrawing group will increase the reactivity if steric hindrance more or less remain the same. So examples for nucleophilic addition, HCN is one of the reagent. So if I take RC double bond O H plus HCN. So here Cn minus a nucleophile. So Cn will attack carbon and oxygen will take the proton. So here we can see clearly an aldehyde is reacting with HCN, always it forms a chiral center. So a new chiral center is generated. So this reaction is called as asymmetric synthesis. So the product obtained always is a racemic mixture. Further, if I take an example which is already having a chiral center, let us say I am taking glyceraldehyde. So I am taking R, glyceraldehyde. So I treat this with HCN. So I'll get two isomers. So the bottom part OH will remain as it is, CH2OH, and the top part I get one CN, one OH and H. The other one is also same, bottom part will remain as it is. The top part will be CN, but OH and H will be reversed, because the new chiral center generated I can get both the configurations. Since they are not mirror images here, this is not a racemic mixture, it is a mixture of diastereomers. So when we take an aldehyde which is already having chiral center, react with HCN or any nucleophilic addition reaction, the formed product is always diastereomer. Same way reaction with sodium bisulfite, an aldehyde or a ketone. I am reacting with NaHSO3. So this is going to form R, COH, H and SO3 Na. This is an adduct, it is a white crystalline precipitate. So this can be used as a qualitative test for carbonyl compounds. So it is answered by all aldehydes and ketones with a small alkyl groups. Bulky alkyl groups present in ketone, this reaction fails because of steric factors. Reaction with alcohols to form acetals. So if I take an alcohol reaction with aldehyde, so I am taking an aldehyde plus R dash OH. So this is happen in presence of either dry HCl or trace amount of acid medium. So here what happens, OR goes to as a nucleophile, H goes to oxygen. So it becomes R, C, single bond OH, this is H and this is OR dash. This is called as hemiacetal. Further it reacts with one more molecule of R dash OH to form acetal. This is called as acetal. So formation of hemiacetal is a part of nucleophilic addition reactions. Further, the acetal formation can also be done using a cyclic diol, vicinal diol. So if I take an aldehyde or a ketone and I use say ethylene glycol, instead of two molecules of alcohol I am using only one molecule of alcohol. Now what happens, the aldehyde or ketone gets converted into a cyclic acetal in this format. So instead of OR OR, same molecule will give both the oxygen atom always form a cyclic acetal. So this cyclic acetal reaction is used in protection of carbonyl group in synthetic applications. Condensation reaction with ammonia derivatives. So here the general reaction I can write RCr double bond O plus NH2Z. So if you condense this water is eliminated minus water. The reaction is giving condensed product. So Z can be NH2 itself, that is hydrazine. Z can be NHCO, NHC6H5. It can be phenylhydrazine. So Z is NH2. So it is hydrazine. Z is NHPH, phenylhydrazine, and Z is OH, hydroxylamine, and Z is NHCONH2. This is semi-carbazide. So all these reactions will be giving same kind of products. So hydrazine will give hydrazone, phenylhydrazine will give phenylhydrazone, hydroxylamine will give oximes, and semi-carbazide will give semi-carbazone. These are the products with ammonia derivatives and carbonyl compounds. Oxidation reactions. Aldehydes are easily oxidized to corresponding carboxylic acid. So here there is no change in the number of carbon atom. So the reagents what I can use is, I can definitely use KMnO4 in acidic medium or OH medium, and I can use K2Cr2O7 in acidic medium. I can use concentrated nitric acid. Along with these three, I can use even what is called as Tollens reagent, Fehling solution. So these are the reagents what I can use for oxidation of aldehydes. Tollens test. What is this Tollens test? So if I take Tollens reagent is ammoniacal AgNO3. So if I take aldehyde or CHO, if I react this with Tollens reagent, ammoniacal AgNO3, it will have a complex of Ag and ammonia. So Ag NH3 twice plus. So reaction usually taking place in basic medium. So it forms RCOOH plus Ag is precipitated, ammonia is expelled out. So the formation of silver is appearing in the form of bright silver mirror. So all aldehydes can answer this particular reaction. So not only aldehydes, the Tollens test is answered by, so Tollens test is answered by, very important, 1. All aldehydes, 2. Alpha hydroxy ketone, number 3. Hemiacetals. Hemiacetals in basic medium can become free aldehyde, so they can react. And 4th one, even formic acid. So formic acid will be easily oxidizable, and also I can say it has a bifunctional compound. So this is aldehyde and this is carboxylic acid. So formaldehyde can be easily oxidized to carbon dioxide and water by Tollens reagent. So Tollens reagent get reduced to silver mirror. So all aldehydes, alpha hydroxy ketones, hemiacetals and formic acid can answer the tolerance test, also Feiling test and also Benedict test. Reduction reactions. In case of aldehydes and ketones, RCHO, it is reduced to corresponding primary alcohol. If I take ketone, reduced corresponding to secondary alcohol. So what are the reducing agents I can use here? I can use lithium aluminium hydride, sodium borohydride, I can use H2 in platinum, palladium or nickel. Even I can use zinc and dilute HCl. I can use even Na and ethanol. So like this, these are some of the reagents which can reduce aldehydes and ketones to corresponding alcohols. We have reduction to hydrocarbon directly, that is RC double bond OH. If it is reduced, directly it can become RCH3. Same way, ketone can become corresponding alkane. So in these reactions, the keto group is completely reduced to CH2 group. So the reagents which can do this is 1. Zinc amalgam plus concentrated HCl. This is called as Clemenson's reduction. Second, I have hydrazine with KOH. This is Wolff-Kishner reduction. These are the two reagents available. We can use even one more reagent, that is phosphorus plus Hi. That's the strongest reducing agent which can reduce not only aldehydes and ketones, even acids and derivatives to finally alkane. But these two, first two are specifically for aldehydes and ketones. So either Clemenson's reduction or Wolff-Kishner reduction are specifically available for conversion of aldehydes and ketones to corresponding alkanes. The most important reaction in aldehydes is aldol condensation. The aldol condensation reaction is a reaction answered by carbonyl compounds containing minimum of 1 alpha hydrogen atom. So I'll take the example of acetaldehyde. So CH3 CHO. If I react this with basic medium NaOH, two molecules undergo condensation. So first molecule I'll write CH3 CH. Instead of writing double bond O, I'll write it as single bond OH. I am showing how to write the product. The second molecule, you take out one alpha hydrogen from the second molecule, it becomes CH2, then continue the same structure. So you're joining the two molecules to form beta hydroxy aldehyde. Beta hydroxy aldehyde or ketone. This is called as aldol. This is only nucleophilic addition. The aldol formed can undergo dehydration in basic medium. So I will take the aldol form in the first step, CH3, CH, OH, CH2, C double bond O, H. So this will lose on heating in presence of NaOH, water, forming CH3, CH, double bond CH, single bond CHO. This is alpha gamma beta unsaturated aldehydes or ketones. So generally, if condensation is completely done, then it has to form alpha beta unsaturated carbonyl compound. To form alpha beta unsaturated carbonyl compound, the original carbonyl compound requires minimum of 2 alpha hydrogen. So one alpha hydrogen is enough to form aldol. The other alpha hydrogen is required to form the alpha beta unsaturated carbonyl compound. So what is the mechanism? So first step, all of us know that alpha hydrogens of aldehydes and ketone is acidic. So OH minus. So it takes the alpha hydrogen forming the corresponding carbanion. The carbanion is a nucleophile. Now this will attack the second molecule of aldehyde. So this negative charge comes, attacks like this. So I'll get O minus H CH2 CHO. Since aldehydes and ketones undergo nucleophilic addition, so from the solvent it will take one proton. It becomes CH3, CH, OH, CH2 and CHO. This is aldol. Now dehydration of aldol. So very important here, the dehydration of aldol forming alpha beta unsaturated compound follows E1CB mechanism. So this OH minus will take a proton here forming the carbanion. So you need carbanion. E1CB mechanism means the leaving group must be poor. So OH is a poor leaving group and the beta carbon has an electron withdrawing group, that is aldehyde. So I'll get the conjugate base CH3 CH OH CH minus CHO. This is the conjugate base. So this will move the electron pair here and OH minus is eliminated and forms alpha gamma beta unsaturated carbonyl compound. So remember, dehydration of aldol is always E1CB mechanism. Crossed aldol condensation. When you have more than one molecule, it can form crossed as well as self product. So I'll take the example CH3 CH2 CHO plus CH3 CHO. So two molecules I am taking OH minus. So I can write the possible products. So if I take the first one CH3 CH2, the aldehyde I am writing as CHOH. Then second molecule I am joining the alpha carbon. This is one cross product. The other cross product can be like this CH3 CHOH. So I am starting from acetaldehyde to propanaldehyde. So propanal alpha carbon is this. So I have to join that only CH CH3 CHO. These two are the cross product. Along with that, even self product is also formed. So self product of propanol, self product of acetaldehyde, totally 4 products are possible for this particular cross aldol condensation. The reaction can also happen intramolecularly. So if I take compound containing 2 carbonyl groups. So one I am taking aldehyde, other one I am taking as ketone. So there are 3 positions of alpha hydrogen. 1, if I number this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 3 positions, that is 2, 5 and 7 we have alpha hydrogen. So I can take out alpha hydrogen, form carbanion at 2 and attack at 6. So I can get 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5 membered ring. So 2 to 6 I get 5 membered ring. So this is 2, this is 3, 4, 5, 6. Sixth will have one OH and CH3 and 2 will have an aldehyde group. This is one possible product. Likewise 5 to 1 is also possible. These are the two major products. Generally 5 membered, 6 membered will be the major product. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1 will have now OH and 5 will have COCH3. I am moving the carbanion at 5th position to carbonyl group at 1. So these are the two major products, and attack of carbanion on aldehyde is always major compared to ketone. So this is the major product. So intramolecular aldol condensation takes place only if there are minimum of 2 carbonyl groups and one of them should have alpha hydrogen. Cannizzaro reaction. This is another reaction which is very important in aldehydes and ketones. So here Cannizzaro reaction takes place in the absence of alpha hydrogen. So I will take formaldehyde as an example. Formaldehyde. When I react this with concentrated NaOH, it undergo disproportionation forming HCOONA and methanol. So this is Cannizzaro reaction. So what is the mechanism? So first step is nucleophilic attack. So OH minus will attack on the carbon, electron pair goes here. So I get HCO minus OH and H. Now here the reaction is slightly different. This O minus will come back to form the double bond and one of the hydride is transferred to the second molecule, and this is the RDS of the reaction. So once if I remove the hydride from this, I get HC double bond O OH, and this one becomes methoxide ion. So methoxide is a very strong base and formic acid is the acid. Immediately proton is lost from it. I get methanol as the product and formate ion. So formate ion is formed and methanol is the byproduct. This is Cannizzaro reaction. So Cannizzaro reaction happens only if there are no alpha hydrogen atoms. The Cannizzaro reaction also happen in cross manner, two different molecules. Suppose I take say benzaldehyde plus formaldehyde. React this with OH minus. Now there are two possibilities, one can get oxidized, one can get reduced, but remember one thing, whenever I use formaldehyde as a reactant for Cannizzaro reaction, formaldehyde is always oxidized, it won't get reduced. HCOONA and I will get only benzyl alcohol. So I am not getting other product, that is benzoic acid and methanol. So formaldehyde being most reactive towards nucleophilic addition. So when formaldehyde is present in the mixture, the nucleophile at OH minus will attack only formaldehyde in preference to the other aldehyde. That's why always that is getting oxidized and other compound gets reduced. Even Cannizzaro reaction can happen intramolecularly. Suppose I have a molecule like this, benzene ring, CO, CHO. So the minimum condition for intramolecular Cannizzaro reaction is there should be two carbonyl groups, out of which one of them should be aldehyde and both carbonyl groups should not have alpha hydrogen atom. So this is an example for that. When I react this with NaOH, the ketone will become alcohol reduced, the aldehyde is getting oxidized to COONA. This is intramolecular one example. I can take even an example like this, benzene with two CHO groups. When I react this with NaOH, one aldehyde get oxidized, other aldehyde get reduced. This is intramolecular Cannizzaro reaction. In aldehydes and ketones, we have several name reactions. So, first one is Claisen-Schmidt reaction. It is just an aldol condensation reaction between an aldehyde, aromatic aldehyde, that is benzaldehyde, plus I am taking an aliphatic compound containing alpha hydrogen. So, reacting this with NaOH. So, benzaldehyde does not have any alpha hydrogen. So, only possibility is cross product from acetaldehyde to benzaldehyde. So, this will lose proton and forms carbanion and finally forms the product like this. This become OH, then CH2, CHO. So, on heating it forms CH double bond CH single bond CHO. This is nothing but cinnamaldehyde. So, Claisen-Schmidt reaction can be used to produce cinnamaldehyde, which is one of the flavoring agent. Benzoin condensation. So, this is a specific reaction of benzaldehyde in presence of cyanide. I have to take KCN as the reagent. So, two molecules of benzaldehyde undergo condensation to form alpha hydroxy ketone. So, this is what benzoin is called as benzoin. So, what is the mechanism? So, it is a specific reaction in presence of Cn minus. So, first step is this will attack benzaldehyde, nucleophilic addition, first step. So, it becomes O minus, H and Cn. Now, because of Cn and benzene ring, this hydrogen become acidic. So, O minus will take the proton immediately. So, it is going to form a carbanion like this, very highly stabilized carbanion. So, this will attack the second molecule of benzaldehyde. So, what do we get? So, leaving group is here and O minus is on the other carbon. There is a change of proton. So, this will become OH. So, I will get like this, O minus and Cn, CHOH and pH. So, this O minus will come back, Cn will go out. So, forming corresponding benzoin. That is the mechanism. So, it is happening only in presence of alcoholic potassium cyanide. Perkin reaction. This also a specific reaction of aromatic aldehyde. So, it is specifically reacting with benzaldehyde and we should have an acid anhydride. So, I am taking acetic anhydride as the example and sodium salt of the same acid. So, basically it is also nucleophilic addition followed by hydrolysis. So, it forms alpha, gamma, beta unsaturated carboxylic acid. So, this is forming cinnamic acid along with acetic acid as the byproduct. This is Perkin reaction. So, Perkin reaction is always between aromatic aldehyde, acid anhydride and sodium salt of the same acid to form alpha, gamma, beta unsaturated carboxylic acid. So reactivity of a carbonyl compound towards Perkin condensation increases by the presence of electron withdrawing groups. Beckmann rearrangement. So in this rearrangement, we have to take an oxime. Oxime is formed by the combination of aldehyde or a ketone with NH2OH. So I am getting oxime. The oxime can show geometrical isomerism. So it can be either syn or anti isomers. So two geometrical isomers are possible for oxime. So if I take any one of the oxime, the product will be different. It is a stereospecific reaction. So let us take one of them. So let us say I am taking R, C, R dash, double bond N, single bond OH. So I am taking syn with respect to R dash, anti with respect to R. So I am reacting this with acid medium. So OH minus will get protonated. Now OH2 plus is a very good leaving group. The migration OH2 when it goes, the migration of the anti group will happen. So anti group will migrate and water is pushed out. So I'll get R dash C double bond N R, and carbon will have the positive charge. Now water will attack as a nucleophile again. So I'll get R dash COH double bond N R. So it tautomerizes. R dash C double bond O NH R. So you always get N substituted amides. So whichever alkyl group migrates, that will be found with the nitrogen in the amide. Whichever alkyl group is anti to OH group, that only migrates to nitrogen. That is a key point of Beckmann rearrangement. Even Beckmann rearrangement can also happen for cyclic ketones. Suppose I take cyclohexanone, you react with NH2OH, it becomes cyclohexane oxime. So you can write OH anywhere. So when I react with H plus, double bond N OH2 plus. Now the anti group is this side ring expansion takes place. So it becomes 7-membered ring. Double bond N and minus here, plus here. So water will become OH and N, then tautomerizes. Double bond ONH. This is nothing but caprolactam, which is used in production of nylon 6. So Beckmann rearrangement is one of the important rearrangement we should know in aldehydes and ketones. Second, benzylic acid rearrangement. So it is for diketone, that too aromatic. So I am taking benzene, C double bond O, C double bond O, benzene ring. So this is reacted with any base, say OH minus. OH minus will attack any one of the benzene ring. So I get this product. I'll write as pH, C double bond O. This will be O minus, OH and pH. Now this negative charge comes back. The pH is a better migratory group. It will migrate to the next carbonyl group. So I'll get both pH attached to same carbon. Both pH attached to same carbon. this will become, this is OH finally, this is double bond O and OH. So you get carboxylic acid by this. So it is a method of preparation of even carboxylic acid. So carboxylate ion, on acidification we get carboxylic acids. So that is called as benzylic acid in this case. So moving to carboxylic acids, preparation method of carboxylic acids. In preparation of oxalic acid, the first method is oxidation of alcohols and aldehydes. So if I take oxidation of alcohols and aldehydes, RCH2OH, primary alcohol, on strong oxidation with KMnO4 in OH minus, it becomes RCOOH. Even aldehydes can be oxidized easily by the same reagent to corresponding carboxylic acids. Ketones undergo oxidation with the same reagent, giving mixture of two carboxylic acids. So in this case, two molecules of same RCOH. So here it follows a rule called as Popov rule. So what is Popov rule? When the ketone undergoes oxidation, the ketone breaks in such a way that carbonyl group stays with the smaller alkyl group. So it will break here. This will become one carboxylic acid group. This will become another carboxylic acid. So alcohols and aldehydes or ketones can be oxidized to corresponding carboxylic acid. Second is hydrolysis of acid derivatives. So acid derivatives are the compounds which give carboxylic acid on hydrolysis. So we have four of them, RCOCl. If I do hydrolysis, then it becomes RCOOH plus HCl is the byproduct. If I take anhydride plus water, it will form RCOOH, two molecules. If I take ester, RCOOR dash plus water, this will happen with acid or bases catalyst to give RCOOH and R dash OH. So you get one acid and one alcohol. And amides with water, this also requires acid or bases catalyst, forming carboxylic acid and ammonia. This is how the acid derivatives will form corresponding carboxylic acids. Cyanides also gives carboxylic acids on hydrolysis. So RC triple bond N, when I add H2O, it will form amide as the intermediate product, not to be isolated. So again it undergo hydrolysis in acidic or basic medium, forming finally carboxylic acid and ammonia. So that is why even cyanide can also be regarded as derivative of carboxylic acid, because on dehydration of amide we get cyanide. As per the definition, cyanide is also giving carboxylic acid on hydrolysis, so it can also be considered as a derivative of carboxylic acid. From Grignard reaction, so RMgX, Grignard reaction is reacted with carbon dioxide in the form of dry ice. So if I react this, R will attack the carbon, electron pair go to oxygen. So it becomes RC double bond O, O minus and MgX plus. So just adding to excess of water, it becomes carboxylic acid. So this is called as carbonation of the Grignard reagent. So Grignard reagent on reaction with CO2 followed by hydrolysis will give corresponding carboxylic acids. Starting from alkenes and alkynes. So alkenes and alkynes, the double bond, triple bond can be broken by strong oxidation in presence of KMnO4. Suppose I take RCH double bond CH R dash. So if I use KMnO4 in acid medium and heating, the double bond completely breaks. Give one is RCOOH, other one is R dash COOH. Same way I can get even from alkyne, so I'll get the same set of product. So KMnO4 H plus or OH minus in heating, double bond triple bond completely breaks and forms the corresponding carboxylic acids. Acidic strength of carboxylic acid. So all of us know carboxylic acid behave as acids. So only reason for acidic behavior is carboxylic acid can undergo dissociation to give RCOO minus and H plus. So this is a stable conjugate base. As a result, the acidic strength is considerable. The dissociation constant is given by RCOO minus into H plus divided by RCOOH concentration. So higher the Ka value, higher will be the acidic strength. So only reason for acidic strength is stability of the conjugate base. So whichever group stabilize the conjugate base will be increasing the acidic strength of acids. So what type of groups will increase the acidic strength? So electron withdrawing group increases acidic strength and electron releasing group decreases acidic strength. Okay. If I take aromatic carboxylic acid, so benzoic acid is more acidic than aliphatic carboxylic acid. Except HCOOH. This is very important. Formic acid is the strongest acid among all carboxylic acids. So when I take substituted benzoic acid, so substituted benzoic acid, again same concept, electron withdrawing group increases acidic strength and electron releasing group decreases acidic strength. So 1, 2 and 3 if I take, the acidic strength is 2 greater than 1 greater than 3. So electron withdrawing group nitro group increases acidic strength, methyl group is electron releasing group which will decrease the acidic strength. In case of benzoic acid, we have an additional effect called as ortho effect. So ortho effect is if I take any group at ortho position, so I just put G. Irrespective of nature of G, the acidic strength of ortho benzoic acid is always more than the normal benzoic acid. This is because of mainly steric factors. Due to steric interaction between the ortho group and the carboxylic acid group, the proton of the carboxylic acid group will be knocked out. And in some cases like salicylic acid, the carboxylate ion is well stabilized by hydrogen bonding. This is hydrogen bonding. As a result, this is most stable. So salicylic acid is much highly acidic than benzoic acid. Formation of acid derivatives. So in case of acid derivatives, we have acid chloride. So RCOOH. For acid chloride, I can use 3 reagents, either PCl5 or PCl3 RSOCl2, similar to alcohols. So if I take PCl5, the acid derivative is RCOCl plus POCl3 and HCl. Here also RCOCl plus H3PO3. Here also RCOCl plus SO2 plus HCl. So both are gaseous here. This is the best method for converting carboxylic acid to acid chloride. If I want to get anhydride, then I can use a dehydrating agent, RCOOH. I use P2O5 or even H2SO4. So I'll get RC double bond O, OC double bond O, R plus H2O. So use a dehydrating agent, very strong one, to get carboxylic acid to anhydride conversion. The third one is ester. So esterification is a very important reaction in alcohols and acids. RCOOH plus R dash OH in presence of concentrated H2SO4 to give RCOO R dash plus H2O. So here very important, in alcohol the OH bond breaks, in acid the CO bond breaks. So this is confirmed by isotopic labeling. Amides, RCOOH, react with ammonia and strongly heat. So first it forms RCOONH4, ammonium salt. This is strongly heated to get RC double bond O NH2. This is amide. So acid chloride, anhydride and ester and amide can be prepared by carboxylic acids. HVZ reaction. So it's one of the important reaction in carboxylic acid. So you have CH2 C double bond OOH. So minimum requirement is 1 alpha hydrogen in the carboxylic acid. So if I react with phosphorus, red phosphorus and any halogen chlorine or bromine, it will become RCHCl COOH. So the alpha halogenation is nothing but the HVZ reaction. HVZ stands for Hell-Volhard-Zelensky reaction. So what is the application of this reaction? Suppose I take an example, RCH2COOH. So this, if I convert into P plus Cl2, I get RCHCl COOH. This is the compound. So this I can use to prepare other compounds. Let us see how it can be done. So I'll take the first compound, RCHCl COOH. If I react this with, say, ammonia, I can convert this into RCHNH2 COOH. It is an alpha amino acid. If I react this with, say, NaOH, I get RCHOH COOH. I get a hydroxy carboxylic acid. Same way if I treat with KCN, I'll get RCHCN COOH. On further hydrolysis, I can get RCH dicarboxylic acids. Malonic acid derivative I can prepare. So these are the synthetic application of HVZ reaction. So alpha halogenation is an important reaction for carboxylic acids. Decarboxylation reaction. In case of decarboxylation reaction, there are two types. One, soda lime decarboxylation. So I can take NaOH and CaO. Loses carbon dioxide become RH. The another type of decarboxylation is beta keto acids. So if I take RC double bond O, CH2, C double bond O, OH. On just heating it decarboxylates, it happens like this. This will come here to form a double bond and this will go here. So this minus can take the proton, ultimately it becomes RCOCH3 plus CO2. So ketone will be formed as a product. So going to acid derivatives, the most common reaction of acid derivatives is nucleophilic acyl substitution. So in case of nucleophilic acyl substitution, RC double bond OZ, I'll react with a nucleophile Nu. So this will attack carbon, gives RCO minus Z and Nu. So this negative charge can come back and Z can go out, forming acyl substituted product. So this is possible only when Z is a good leaving group. So Z is a good leaving group. So I have acid, chloride, anhydride and all those things. If I take Z based on the leaving ability of those groups, we can take the order of reactivity as RCOCl, highest reactive because Cl minus is a very good leaving group. Then it is RCO whole twice O anhydride, RCOO minus is a very good leaving group. Then it is ester, comparatively OR minus a better leaving group compared to NH2. So amide is the least reactive acid derivative. So based on the leaving ability of the group Z, we can have this order of reactivity. In case of aldehydes and ketones, H or R, both are very poor leaving group, so they cannot answer the acyl substitution. They undergo nucleophilic addition. That's the basic difference between aldehydes and ketones and carboxylic acid derivatives. Hoffmann bromide reaction. In this, I have an amide reacting this with bromine and a base KOH or NaOH. The resultant product will be RNH2 followed by K2CO3, KBr and H2O. So this is called as degradation reaction. Because one carbon atom is decreased from reactant to product. That's why it is called as degradation reaction. So this involves one of the important rearrangement called as Hoffmann rearrangement. So what is the mechanism? So RC double bond O NH2. So here the first step is OH minus takes the acidic hydrogen. So OH minus take the acidic hydrogen to become water. So this will be RCO minus double bond NH. Now in the reacting medium we have Br2. So this negative charge comes back, this Br gets added up. So loss of Br minus forms RC double bond O NH Br. One more acidic hydrogen is there now. OH minus will take that also. So I'll get R C double bond O N minus Br. So this intermediate will make the group to shift. So a negative charge from nitrogen will go to this C double bond N. The alkyl group shifts intramolecularly to knock out the Br minus. So I'll get the compound what is called as isocyanate. This isocyanate on hydrolysis in basic medium gives RNH2 and carbonate ion. So potassium hydroxide I am using, so I get potassium carbonate. If I use sodium hydroxide, I get sodium carbonate. This is Hoffman rearrangement. Very important point is it is strictly 100% intramolecular migration. If I use two amides, there is no cross product formation. Same mechanism is also there in Curtius reaction. So Curtius reaction is RCOCl plus NaN3, N3 minus. So finally hydrolysis, this also give isocyanate RNCO, then finally RNH2. So we'll see what is the mechanism. RC double bond O Cl, N3 minus N double bond N double bond N. So plus minus minus. So one of the minus charge will attack here. So Cl will be going out. Acyl substitution takes place. So what do we get? R C double bond O N double bond N double bond N. This is plus, this is minus. So this minus charge comes here. This will come to nitrogen. I will get R C double bond O N minus N triple bond N plus. It is comparable with the previous intermediate formed during Hoffman bromide reaction. The only difference is the outgoing group is nitrogen. So this negative charge will come here. The alkyl group migrates and nitrogen is going out. Minus N2, I will get isocyanate, and same thing I get RNH2. This is Curtius reaction. So Curtius reaction is a reaction between acid chloride and azide ion. Schmidt reaction is quite analogous to Curtius reaction. Only difference is I am using carboxylic acid in place of acid chloride, and instead of azide I am using hydrozoic acid. So with sulfuric acid, it will also form same RC double bond O N3. Then finally loses nitrogen, forms RNCO. Then base hydrolysis gives RNH2. So mechanism also very similar to Curtius reaction. Earned ester synthesis. So here it is little different. Mechanism is almost same, but the reaction is not called as Hoffman rearrangement. So in this reaction is basically ascent in the series. So if I take a carboxylic acid RCOOH, first I'll convert this into acid chloride by SOCl2. Then I react this acid chloride with CH2N2, diazomethane. So this acts as a nucleophile. Diazomethane lone pair comes here. The electron pair attacks carbon. Chlorine is eliminated. So I'll get R, C, I'll write chlorine elimination later, O minus, Cl, CH, I'll write one H separate, then N triple bond N plus. So what happens? Negative charge comes back to eliminate chlorine. At the same time, one proton is also eliminated. So basically HCl is going out. So I'll get R C double bond O CH minus and N2 plus. So this is again same intermediate. This will come back. R migrates, N2 goes. So absolutely same, but the formed product is not isocyanate, it is ketene. So ketone plus alkene, ketene. So this ketene on hydrolysis forms RCH2COOH. So we get a carboxylic acid with one carbon atom more than the starting reactant. So we ascend in the homologous series. One second, yeah. Claisen ester condensation. So Claisen ester condensation is similar to aldol condensation. So if I take the example of methyl acetate, CH3, C double bond O, CH3. So it has an alpha hydrogen. So we take this in the strong basic medium, say CH3O minus. CH3O minus will take the alpha hydrogen, become CH3OH. Now it produces a carbanion, CH2 minus, COOCH3. Now this carbanion attacks the second molecule of ester. Same as aldol condensation, it will also form tetrahedral intermediate. So I'll get CH3 CO minus, this OCH3 I'll write here, and CH2 COOCH3. In case of aldol condensation, the O minus will take a proton and become beta hydroxy aldehyde or ketone. But here, since it is a OCH3 leaving group, this comes back, it undergoes acyl substitution to form beta keto esters. CH3 C double bond O, CH2 C double bond O, OCH3. So it is forming beta keto esters. So Claisen ester condensation is a reaction between two ester molecules having at least one alpha hydrogen to form beta keto esters. Like aldol condensation, here the reaction can also take place intramolecularly and intermolecularly, self as well as cross condensation reaction. Polymers. So polymers are the macromolecules formed by the combination of large number of small molecules known as monomers. These polymers are also classified based on type of monomer units. We classify them as homopolymers and heteropolymers. Homopolymers are the one where only one type of monomer units are present. Heteropolymers are the one where different types of monomer units are present. And second, based on method of polymerization, we have addition polymer and condensation polymer. Addition polymers are the polymers where two monomers adds onto each other without loss of any atom or molecule, and the process is called as addition polymerization. Condensation polymer is a polymerization where two or more monomer molecules combine with each other with the elimination of simple molecules like water or ammonia. So the process is known as condensation polymerization. Based on occurrence, we have natural polymer and synthetic polymer. Natural polymer are the polymer which exist naturally in nature. We have examples of rubber, we have examples of proteins, and synthetic polymers are the polymers which are made by man for various purposes. And based on properties of polymers, we have elastomers, fibers, thermoplastics and thermosetting plastics. Elastomers are the polymers which have least intermolecular force of attraction and they have elastic properties. Rubber is the best example for that. Fibers are the one which have very strong intermolecular forces between the monomer molecules. So thermoplastics are the one which have intermediate intermolecular forces between fibers and elastomers. So these thermoplastics can be remolded. So they get softened on heating, they become hard on cooling, again you heat, they regain the original properties. So you can remold the plastic into different types. Thermosetting plastics are the plastics where on heating they develop crosslinks and the entire structure will be altered. So they cannot be remolded again by heat treatment. So best example for thermoplastic is polythene. Thermosetting plastic is bakelite. We have molecular mass of polymers. Molecular mass of polymer, because in polymer sample the number of monomer units in each and every molecule of polymer will be different. So we have average means of understanding molecular masses. We have two types, that is number average molecular mass, weight average molecular mass. So if I take number average molecular mass, it is basically given by mn bar. If I have in a particular monomer sample n1 molecules of molecular mass m1, n2 molecules of monomer m2 with mass m2, like that, so on. So total number of monomers will be n1 plus n2 plus etc. So n1 number of molecules of polymers having molecular mass m1, n2 number of molecules of polymer with molecular mass m2, and so on, divided by total number of molecules of the polymer in the sample will give you average molecular mass of the polymer. So I can write this as sigma ni mi whole divided by sigma ni, that is mn bar. Moving to weight average molecular mass. So in case of weight average, it is instead of number, it is weight. So mw bar is equal to w1 m1 plus w2 m2 plus etc. divided by w1 plus w2. Further, w1 I can write as n1 m1. So this is n1 m1 square plus n2 m2 square plus etc. whole divided by n1 m1 plus n2 m2 plus etc. So in general I can write mw is equal to sigma ni mi square divided by sigma ni mi. So generally for most of synthetic polymers, mw bar is greater than mn bar. So we have what is called as polydispersity index, PDI. So it is given by mw bar by mn bar. For synthetic polymers, it is always more than 1. PDI is greater than 1, but for natural polymers, almost PDI equals to 1. So what does this PDI signifies? It indicates the dispersion or distribution of the monomer units into different polymeric molecules. Synthetic polymers, we cannot control the number of monomers joining and forming a polymer molecule. But in natural process, the number of monomer units present in each molecule of the polymer will be more or less same. That's why whether I take number average or weight average, it is going to be the same molecular mass. That's why PDI is equal to 1 for natural polymers, and synthetic polymers PDI is greater than 1. So take some of the addition polymers. Polythene, as we know, it is combined by CH2 double bond CH2 polymerizes to give CH2 single bond CH2 N. So we have LDPE and HDPE. See, LDPE is catalyzed, preparation of LDPE is catalyzed by peroxides, and HDPE is prepared by what is called as Ziegler-Natta catalyst. Ziegler-Natta catalyst is triethyl aluminum and titanium tetrachloride. So C2H5 thrice Al plus TiCl4. This is the catalyst used in production of HDPE. So LDPE is used in soft bottle, soft toys. HDPE is used in molded objects like table, mug, bucket. So various hard bottles, right? So major application of LDPE is in packaging. HDPE is in molded objects. PVC, polyvinyl chloride. So it is a monomer of vinyl chloride, CH2 double bond CH single bond Cl. Chloroethene. When we polymerize, I get polyvinyl chloride. So this PVC is mainly used in piping and PVC sheets. Polystyrene. Polystyrene is prepared by again addition polymerization. So it is going to be C6H5. It is vinyl benzene. So when you polymerize this, I get polystyrene. So what is the use of this polystyrene? So it is used in thermocoals, that is styrofoam. It's called as styrofoam. And also the beans used in bean bags will be nothing but the polystyrene material. Polyacrylonitrile PAN, it is also known as Arlon. The monomer is CH2 double bond CH single bond CN, cyanide group. So this is polymerized to get Arlon or polyacrylonitrile. Next one, PTFE, polytetrafluoroethene. This is simple CF2 double bond CF2 tetrafluoroethene is polymerized to get CF2 single bond CF2 whole N. So PTFE or Teflon is used in mainly non-stick cookware materials. So non-stick coating will be the purpose of using this. PMMA, polymethyl methacrylate. So the monomer of this is CH2 double bond CCH3 COOCH3. So this is polymerized N molecules. So I'll get the compound like this, CH2 single bond C. So one is COOCH3, other one is CH3. So this will keep on repeating. So this is also known as plexiglass. So main usage of this is in aircraft windows because it is very rigid, it doesn't break easily, and it is very light, so it is quite hard. So it is used in aircraft windows. Moving to condensation polymers, nylon 6,6. Nylon 6,6 is having two monomers, that is a copolymer, hexamethylene diamine. So NH2 CH2 6 times NH2 plus adipic acid. Since both monomer contain 6 carbon atom, it is called as nylon 6,6. So when you combine, I get this as a partial structure. So you have amide linkages, so it is a polyamide. So this will repeat. So this is nylon 6,6. It's an important fiber used in many applications, nylon brushes, nylon sheath, nylon clothes, ropes, right? So many applications are there for nylon. Then we have Dacron or Terylene. Dacron is obtained by two monomers. One is terphthalic acid and ethylene glycol. It's a polyester. So esterification takes place. So the partial structure is like this. So this will repeat. So this is very much used in wash and wear clothes, polyester clothes, very famous. No requirement of any ironing, just wrinkle free clothes we can make. Glyptol is also similar to Dacron. The only difference is instead of terphthalic acid, we use normal phthalic acid, that is orthoisomer. So COOH, COOH, and ethylene glycol is the other monomer. So this will be forming glyptol. So the partial structure again similar to Dacron. So this keeps repeating. So glyptol is mainly used in paints. Glyptol is mainly used in paints. Okay, that is glyptol. Bakelite. Bakelite is one of the important polymer from phenol and formaldehyde. So phenol, formaldehyde. So this reaction takes place in place of small amount of H plus or OH minus. So it is basically electrophilic aromatic substitution. At all orthopara positions, the CH2 group will be attached. So the bakelite will look like this. So if I take OH, this is CH2. So this attached another benzene ring, and OH is here. So like this. So a linear polymer obtained in the first step is called as Novolac. Then it can be cross polymer also like this. So cross links can develop. So here also it's possible. Like that it goes in 3 dimension. So bakelite is a highly cross-linked polymer, very stable, and on heating it develops even more cross-links. The structure will be altered, the property will be lost. So bakelite is used in electrical switchboards and electrical switches. Melamine formaldehyde resin. Melamine is a compound with this structure. Three nitrogen like benzene ring, and in the carbon they are attached to NH2 groups. So there are 6 nitrogen in one molecule of melamine. This combines with formaldehyde in excess. So all NH group can be attached to CH2 groups. So it can be forming a polymer in this fashion. Okay, so NH CH2, this also can go NH CH2 NH CH2. So this can repeat in 3 dimension. So this melamine formaldehyde resin is very tough and doesn't break unbreakable crockery items. So the plates, mugs, everything what is used in restaurants nowadays mainly used by melamine formaldehyde resin, but not ceramics. Ceramics will be very easily breakable, but this is totally unbreakable crockery. Biodegradable polymers. In case of biodegradable polymers, we have 3 of them. PHBV. PHBV stands for polyhydroxybutyrate and valerate. Polyhydroxybutyrate and valerate. So butyrate is 4-membered carboxylic acid and valerate is 5-membered carboxylic acids, and both of them will have one OH group. They are hydroxy carboxylic acids. So the monomers are like this. This is hydroxybutyric acid, 3-hydroxybutyric acid, and same way 3-hydroxy pentanoic acid. These two are the monomers. So basically they are polyester. Esterification takes place. The partial structure will be like this. This is N, this is N. If I take, so oxygen, then CH, CH3, CH2, C double bond O, O, CH, C2H5, CH2, C double bond O, and repeats. This is one of the example for biodegradable polymers. The second one is dextran. This dextran is basically polyglycolic acid, and lactic acid. So the monomers are lactic acid and glycolic acid to be combined. So lactic acid is CH3, CHOH, COOH. Glycolic acid is CH2OH, COOH. So these are polymerized to form ester. So what happens is, I'll write oxygen, CH3, C double bond O, CH2, C double bond O, and repeats. This is dextran, the first biodegradable polymer to be synthesized. Nylon 6, nylon 2, that is another biodegradable polymer. So basically it is two monomeric units, nylon 2, nylon 6. Nylon 2 is nothing but glycine, so CH2, COOH, NH2. This is 1 plus, then NH2 6 means CH2 5 times COOH. So both are amino acids with 6 and 2 carbon atoms. So if you combine, is going to form the structure like this: NH, CH2, C double bond O, NH, CH2 5 times C double bond O, and this will repeat. So nylon 2, nylon 6 is also one of the important biodegradable polymer. So 3 biodegradable polymer, out of which dextran is the first one to be prepared. Okay, these are the synopsis points for the 3 chapters. So we'll work out some problems in all the 3 chapters. Thank you.